Now, if any of you in Shrewsbury are still watching at home despite my blasphemy, first of all, thank you. Secondly, I hope you'll join me for story time now. For this, I'll introduce our story by quoting The Who. So yes, I'm talking about my generation. And no, if you're just tuning in, this is not The Beat with Ari Melber, though I do highly recommend you watch his show weekdays at 6 p.m. Eastern on MSNBC. And Ari, if you're watching, yo. Anyway, the first thing, I'm part of the millennial generation, which usually means anyone born around the early 80s to the early 2000s. Being born in 95, that makes me a millennial. Just old enough to remember the Sox winning the World Series in 2004, but not old enough to remember the Lewinsky scandal, which, given what I've learned since then, and my age at the time, might have been for the best. I don't think I missed out there. More to the point though, there are about 83 million of us, and we are, by and large, thanks to the internet and other developments in research, the most researched generation in history. And yet, so many people make assumptions or claims about us based on, not on research or fact, but based on the assumptions of others or one-off experiences. In 2017, a report showed in 2015, 44.2% of millennials were of a minority background, and not the white upper-class hipster garbage we're often portrayed as on television by the likes of Hammer on Family Guy. And yes, while I have met millennials who do look like that, it would be unfair to judge anyone based on personifications like that. It's like Call of Duty's multiplayer. When I say that, you probably think of immature children yelling obscenities at anyone who plays better than them, taking the game way too seriously, and gloating whenever they win a match. Seriously, just type the title of any video game with an online multiplayer into the YouTube search bar with the word rage and enjoy hours upon hours of yelling that seems to be coming from nowhere. Anyway, that undoubtedly exists, but it would be unfair to think just because someone is playing a Call of Duty game online, they are an immature child who will yell at anyone for no reason. You probably know someone who plays Call of Duty, and you probably also wouldn't imagine them as the type to yell obscenities for no reason. The same goes for millennials. With so many of us with so many different backgrounds, as previously stated, we are arguably the most diverse generation to ever exist. More diverse than the cast of Friends, anyway. It hurts how badly that show has aged. Less painful, or more painful, depending on your point of view, is the supposed sexual promiscuity of millennials. A San Diego State University study shows that baby boomers, on average, and that's the key term there, on average, have more sexual partners than millennials. Now, one could argue that the reason for this is because baby boomers have lived longer and hence have had more chances for sexual encounters. And while that argument is sound enough, the reason the argument exists in the first place is because so many of our generation are known, again, keyword known, for using Tinder and having more liberal, open-minded views towards sex, that we, for some reason, never want to settle down and just want to sleep around with everyone. Like God, no. Now, this point is the one I hear the most and gives me the most pause. In 2013, Time magazine had a story called The Me, Me, Me generation. Millennials are lazy, entitled narcissists who still live with their parents. Why they'll save us all. Now, while that last part certainly makes me want to pat myself on the back, the first part is really an echo of a much more often spoken narrative. Because as a millennial, anyone who says anything negative about me is a hater, and you should totally unfollow me, bro. I'm unfriending you, Dave! By the way, if Dave is a person, is not a real person, he's just made up. On the other part of the article's title, however, about how millennials still live with their parents, well, according to a 2015 Trans-American survey, 19% of millennials financially support a parent. Now, as much as I realize that probably isn't fun to have to support a parent, to at least have the ability is a dream I have that's akin to Pinocchio's dream of being a real boy. Instead of spending our days searching for jobs that might not even be there, we actually create our own. Instead of wanting to be the CEO of an already established business, because screw the establishment, some of us prefer to create our own jobs where there is none. Also, a study shows that 64% of millennials like the opportunity to work from home, as opposed to baby boomers, where the number stands at 66%. Ha! Sup on that 2% baby boomers. And if you'll notice, so many of the people who one might consider successful, at least from the perspective of our show's writers, so me, myself, and I, many of the people who inspire me and want to enter the media field, writing, television, film, and such, are definitely not ones of the millennial variety. Many of my professors were in their 40s and above. Many of the people on cable news and network television are at least in their late 20s, with few exceptions. And for my own money, or lack thereof, I'm out of college, working at a movie theater, making minimum wage, living with my parents because I can't afford anywhere else, and despite what high school counselors and others might tell you, college has not given me a job. I, as of May 20th, will have a degree in theater, and the only person I've talked to about a job only contacted me because I put my resume on Indeed.com, not because they're a professor or an extracurricular. To be fair, however, this isn't meant to be a segment about how millennials are awesome and every other generation can suck it for hating us. That would play right into the other stereotype that we're emotional and that our feelings are easily hurt because we have so many triggers. And don't even bother talking to us if you pull one of them. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't know what either side is harping on about. Generations before and after ours have good and bad people and will continue to have good and bad people. There will be those in all generations who work hard for what they want, and there'll be those who wonder, just because they have a pulse, why life isn't giving them what they want, and all the pieces have magically fallen together in their hands. How about, instead of bashing one side for being something you don't like or bashing the other because they bashed first, you think about the best things each generation has to offer, call them out on their BS when you smell it, and then we can all just get along a little better, please. And if we could do that, it'd be greatly appreciated.